Hello and welcome to FPL Malvo. My name is Andy and it's my team selection video ahead of Game Week 2 for you today. I have recorded a Game Week preview video which is up now, so check that out. You can hear a little bit more in depth about the kind of players I think you should be bringing in, avoiding the kind of traps, that sort of thing. But in this video, I'm just going to go through how I got on in Game Week 1 and how my team's shaping up for Game Week 2. So 61 points is how I did in Game Week 1. Full disclosure, I'm actually going on holiday this week, so I'm recording this on the Monday night before the Leicester Spurs game. It won't affect me. I haven't got any players playing in that, but it will mean that my rank will drop a smidge, potentially quite a lot, depending how some of those highly owned assets do, such as Son and Solanke. But 61 points, relatively pleased with. Most of them came through my captain, Mohamed Salah. Glad that I got the captaincy right. I wasn't that tempted to go for Isak. I know he was really highly owned, and they both had really nice fixtures against newly promoted teams. But Salah's record first day of the season is really good. So is Erling Haaland. He also chipped in with the goal for me. I'll take you through the team. Henderson in goal, just 2 points. That was one of the fixtures early on. I thought it was a potential clean sheet. When I heard there was no Ivan Toney as well, I thought that was a plus. So a little bit of a disappointment there, but I don't think anything to worry about going forward. And he did start, so the pretty much confirmed first choice is now fully confirmed. Trent, I talk about him on my other video. He was fantastic second half in that Liverpool match. I think he's one. I'm not saying you should tear up your team structure to get in, but I really do feel that Trent's going to score heavily over the next few game weeks. 8 points was because of a clean sheet and bonus points for him. He got 2 bonus, but he easily could have got a couple of assists in that game. Liverpool did leave chances out there. Like I say, particularly in that second half, I think assists are coming for him. Maybe the odd goal. He's just getting into the areas that I think play into Trent's hands, really, like those sort of like inside right wing sort of positions where he can whip those balls into the box. So threatening. Yeah, if you don't own Trent, I would look at getting him in. Next up, got Mikalenko. Everton were really poor in that game. Obviously, Ashley Young gets sent off. I worry a little bit about Everton, but I think Sean Dyche has dealt with tough situations before and has always been able to coach a defense well. It's kind of why I wanted an Everton defender in there. And Mikalenko is a little bit of attacking threat too, so I'm not going to panic about it. I think, yeah, Dyche is easily good enough to turn that around. Quansah is obviously a concern. He came off at half time, so just 1 point from him. I'll hold on to him and at least give him another week. And I'd recommend most people do that as well. You'd kick yourself if you picked, a 4.5 million option from a Liverpool team that's got some of the best fixtures in the league coming up, and then sold him because he was taken off at half time. If he starts the next game, which I do think is unlikely, but I think if he does start it, then he's the best 4.5 probably in the game for me. So yeah, he'll stay in my team, but it was certainly a disappointment. Midfield, I mean, I mentioned Mo Salah, goal and assist for him. Gordon, Eze, and Rodgers. Eze and Rodgers, I'm really pleased to have in my side. They both played really well. Eze definitely should have had a goal and then had an assist ruled out as well for offside. That one was probably right. And Rodgers played really well in the Villa game, by all accounts. One of their most threatening players. I think that place is his to lose, either on the wing or as a kind of second striker, which I think is where he played most of that game. It was interesting to see that Bailey, the kind of other attacking midfielder, came off before him, as did Ollie Watkins, but I imagine that's down to building fitness up. Gordon's the one I'm sort of not concerned about, but I think he is one of those players that hasn't had much of a pre-season and just looks a little undercooked to start the season. He didn't really influence that Newcastle game by all accounts. 3 points from him, but there's I feel like Gordon is such a good option going forward. I'm certainly not looking at taking him out, but I wonder whether it might take him a few games to really hit the ground running. Up front, Muniz, again, a little bit disappointed. I thought Fulham were fairly poor in that United game. They actually started quite well first, like 20 minutes, but didn't really create any chances of note. And then, United got hold of that game and kind of dominated the ball. Um, yeah, they've lost a few players, Fulham, and haven't really replaced them yet, aside from bringing in Emil Smith Rowe, who I think will be a good addition to their team, but hasn't played much football over the last couple of years and might take a little bit again to kind of settle into the season. So have to see how Muniz. Fulham's fixtures are quite nice coming up, so I certainly don't mind owning him. But on the performance of the first game, yeah, he really had no sort of chances to speak of. Haaland just doing Haaland things. I thought it was a lovely finish. There's finishes that are more aesthetically pleasing, I guess. But I think in terms of technique, just that ability to kind of keep the ball and show that real strength, couple of touches, and then just lift it sort of gently over the keeper. Uh, Class, really class. He had almost no touches in that Manchester City match, but I think we're all pretty used to that by now. You know, if he has 6 touches, he can get 2 goals. So yeah, goal, couple of bonus points. Happy enough with that one. And Isak, I mean, considering there was, I do think that Isak captainers are a bit unfortunate. It sounded like Newcastle started off really poorly, and actually, if anything, improved after the red card. But if you're picking your captain and they're playing, 2/3 of that game with 10 men, it is going to make it more difficult. Who knows what Isak could have done had the red card not happened? Maybe Newcastle would have clicked into gear anyway and created more chances for him. But, he did come away with 5 points for an assist, so not the end of the world at all. And that kind of suited me as well, with him probably being the most popular captain choice and me not going for it. So, yeah, 61 points, relatively pleased with it, particularly because I think a couple of my midfielders, especially, look like they could go really well for me in the next few game weeks, even though they didn't get anything this week. Yeah, inside the top 2 million, that rank is going to change. I don't really care about rank, though, in the first few game weeks. So, that said, let's have a look how my team is shaping up for next week. So, Henson will start in goal for me. I've only got one playing goalkeeper, so he's going to start every week. But West Ham at home, West Ham weren't especially good in that Villa game. Definite chance for a clean sheet there. Happy to own him. Secondly, I've got Trent and Quansah starting for Liverpool. That is, if Quansah does start. I'm going to play him anyway because I'll be really disappointed if I bench him for Mikalenko, who's got Tottenham away, and then Quansah plays. I think it's unlikely he'll come off the bench as well. I think he'll either play from the start or he'll play 0 minutes, and Canate will take that place. So I think it's worth a risk. I think Trent is one of the best assets in the game to own. So really pleased with him. That home fixture as well. I fancy an attacking return or two from him. And then Robinson. I mean, defensively, Fulham were pretty good. For me, sort of criticising them for not, really grabbing hold of the game or showing much going forward. Defensively, they were pretty good. They did give a few chances away. Bruno Fernandes, probably should have scored. He had 2 really, really decent chances, and Garnacho at the end, missing a sitter really. Um, but yeah, as a whole, I felt they were relatively kind of compact and didn't offer a ton of chances. So yeah, hopeful of a clean sheet against Leicester team that's struggling for strikers. They've lost Dewsbury Hall, scored a lot of goals from midfield last season. So yeah, we'll see how they get on. But I fancy maybe a clean sheet in that one. At the midfield that I've gone for, there is one change from last week, which is I need to learn to pronounce his name, Brereton Diaz. Coming in for Rodgers. It's just on the fixture, really. Rodgers, I thought, looked good in the first game, but Arsenal at home, when you compare it to Nottingham Forest at home, there's only one winner. Brereton Diaz, well, I mean, he did have one really good chance in that game, and he also got someone sent off. Unfortunately, there's no FPL points for that, but but there we go. But yeah, he was playing just behind Armstrong. Really, you could almost argue he's an out of position. He's sort of they're a little interchangeable. He's almost up front, but yeah, probably just in behind. But yeah, I fancy that Nottingham Forest defense did concede quite a few goals last season. We'll see. They've made some additions there, so maybe it'll improve. But I could see a goal there for him. Gordon against Bournemouth. It's not the easiest game. It's not the hardest. We'll see if Gordon, um, you know, one game really helps his fitness and he kind of influences that game a bit more. Eze I really fancy in that West Ham fixture. I don't know about West Ham this season. A lot of people are picking them to do really well. They've certainly made some decent signings, but I feel like we see this a lot with West Ham where they make a few signings and they don't seem to quite click. So we'll see. But yeah, Eze looked really good in his first game, so hopeful for some returns there. Mo Salah's currently got my vice captain, home against Brentford. Like that fixture, so we'll see. Muniz, Leicester at home. This is why I'm a bit more hopeful for Muniz, although he didn't really have any chances in the first game. That's a really nice fixture. So hopeful of some returns there. One of the reasons that I was always looking at having Haaland in my drafts was because of that Ipswich fixture. We'll see. Ipswich started really well in that Liverpool game, and then it is hard to keep up that kind of intensity for 90 minutes. I think they dropped a little bit second half. So we'll see how they do against City. I imagine their away fans will be, very boisterous. Probably get the team going. I can imagine them starting well and City going into that game. Haaland's so good at home. I mean, he's good away, but I'm certainly not writing off Haaland hat trick. I'd be disappointed if there's no returns for him in that match. And Isaac Bournemouth spoke about the fixture with Gordon. We'll see how they get on there. I think Newcastle will have a good season this year and are a better team than probably they showed in that Southampton match. I'm not considering any sort of transfers. I never do really for game week 2. I think having that little bit of extra information and saving those transfers is so important. I don't think it's worth me suddenly knee jerking and say get rid of Barco because he's not going to play to bring in another player that's going to sit third on my bench. I just don't think it's worth using a transfer in that. I think in an ideal world I'll keep rolling transfers for a few weeks, but I certainly don't mind using them. I've talked about the possibility of like a game week 6 wild card or something like that. I will definitely end up using a couple of transfers before then, but it'd be nice to only use a couple. So yeah, not considering any sort of transfer. I picked this team because I liked it on paper going into the season. I think just one game's evidence isn't enough to make me change away from that. So that's my team selection video ahead of game week 2. Let me know in the comments what you think of my team, who you think will do well this week. If you enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel and give it a like. But thanks for watching. I'll be back again next week with another video.